everybody.
Hi everybody.
Hi everybody. Hi everybody.
Hey everybody.
Hey everybody. Welcome to this week's weekly roundup. I have some coronavirus updates to provide to you today. So I'm going to go through a few just community-based items, and then we'll spend some time talking about updates about COVID-19. So you may remember before the coronavirus kind of took over, we had a little mishap with the tornado sirens last week. And we share that that's because we share some redundancies with other entities like our county partners, and they inadvertently had the sirens go off. So we've been working with them. We did immediately that night and then throughout the weekend, and we are confident that we've started to make some changes to the processes to prevent this from happening in the future. It was a two-step process, and we're fairly confident we're moving to a three-step process. That would essentially require an additional step before the tornado sirens would go off here in town. So we apologize. We know that it's a little bit of, boy crying wolf, and we're very aware of that, and we're trying our best to keep that from happening again. I would just remind everyone that in today's day and age, we have our phones at the ready, and the National Weather Service is always a good place to get some information on weather if you're unsure. But I'm hopeful that this won't be a problem for us again in the future. You will start receiving some information about the U.S. Census. I'm letting you know that because I know sometimes people are unsure if it's actual census information or not. So in this coming week or so, you should start to receive information about the census. If you're ever unsure, go to census.gov for more information. The Chamber of Commerce is going to be celebrating their 100-year celebration this summer on August 22nd. They'll be hosting a kind of craft and farmers market type fair. And they are looking for artisan and craft vendors. So if you're interested in doing that, please contact the Chamber office. The Water Department has an opportunity for you all to pay your utility bill through an automatic withdrawal from your checking or savings account. So if you're interested in participating in that program, it keeps you from stopping in to City Hall, or you don't pay perhaps through the app like I do, go to our city homepage, go all the way to the bottom and click More News. And that'll take you to a page that has the information where you can select the application. You just need to complete the application and return it with a voided check associated with that account. So it likely is a checking account to sign up for that program. I am sad to report that the Jig Jog for this weekend has been postponed, obviously due to COVID-19. And we are hopeful that they will be able to put that event on in June. I will encourage you to consider voting absentee for this election cycle and the election on April 7th. You can request an absentee ballot by mail by submitting a written letter requesting one with a copy of your driver's license or photo ID. So we have to have it done that way. So you have to submit a letter to City Hall requesting a ballot be mailed to you and include a copy of a photo ID. I have quite a few updates about the coronavirus or COVID-19, and what I want to share is both some proactive, some reassuring, and some simple steps we can all take in order to prevent the virus from spreading throughout our community. And I'm saying that on purpose because the virus is all over. We know that now. It's throughout Wisconsin in many ways, so we know that the virus is continuing to spread. The advice remains the same, and I know it sounds trite, but it is true. If you are sick, we need you to stay home. We need you to wash your hands, and if you can't wash your hands, use hand sanitizer. And we need for people to more frequently clean surfaces. So if we're, surfaces that are high traffic surfaces, phones, light switches, doorknobs, handrails, computers, surfaces at reception desks. Those surfaces need to be cleaned more consistently. But the biggest thing we can tell you is if you're sick, or you're unwell, we need you to stay home. We have been, seeing a groundswell of people who are, saying that this virus isn't serious, and I'm here to say it is. It is something that we feel very prepared and ready to manage, but the virus itself still is a real virus that can have, strong effects on communities. We know that people are, worried about us overreacting or saying it's not that bad. And what I have to say is we'd like to keep it that way. And it is that way because we're taking the measures throughout the community, throughout the state, and throughout the country to try to contain the community spread. So if you're wondering, there's not that many cases, why are we taking all these efforts? It's because it's an attempt to keep it at a very minimal level. And if we aren't congregating in groups and we aren't frequenting unnecessary events or meetings, it will help contain that community spread. It is our job to protect this community. And so you will see proactive approaches coming out of our city partners and ourselves in order to do our part in protecting this community. And it is true, the vast majority of people who have gotten COVID-19 do recover just fine, but there is a portion that doesn't. And those are our vulnerable populations, and those populations deserve for us to do our part to protect them. I know it's an interruption to your daily lives, and I know it can be very difficult to make those changes, but I'm here to ask you that we all do our part in ensuring that we are doing our best to keep the community of Watertown safe. If you have symptoms of a cough or fever and feel that you need medical care, we are encouraging you to contact your medical provider. In accordance with CDC guidelines, we are medically evaluating and testing people in our community and following up with them as necessary. We are encouraging you to consider the importance of attending events. Large events over 250 people should be canceled. Events with vulnerable populations, that number drops significantly. So we have canceled all of our events at the Watertown Senior Center for our seniors. That is one of the vulnerable populations, so we are being proactive in canceling all senior-related events at the Senior Center. We have been, and we put out a press release yesterday, working very collaboratively throughout the day, many times a day, with Watertown Regional Medical Center, our healthcare providers and clinics, Watertown Unified School District. We have touched base with our parochial schools and our private colleges and universities in Watertown and Madison College to ensure that everyone is receiving the information and the support that they need. And we will continue to do that as we work through this virus. We have connected with the faith community in our churches, and I will ask and issue a reminder, we are better off if we don't shake hands at this time. And I know that's a hard thing to ask. I'm really happy to see that some of our faith communities, and in some cases the larger faith community, have taken those proactive steps at saying now is an understandable time not to extend the sign of peace by shaking hands. Give people a good wave or a good smile. And also in those larger circumstances like a church, we will ask you as much as you can to distance yourself from one another. So if that just means sitting a few chairs or a few spaces apart in the pews from one another, that will help us in containing the spread of the virus. We are also working with nonprofit organizations. We are recognizing that should this virus continue to proliferate, we will have food security needs, and we're ensuring that those local nonprofits that we leverage right now are going to start thinking about ways that we can potentially serve the community. I will encourage you to reach out to those vulnerable populations. If you have a senior citizen as your neighbor, or you know of a family or a friend that cares for a senior citizen or a person with a compromised immune system or respiratory issues, reach out to them and see if they need help getting groceries, just doing those regular everyday tasks that could allow them to stay inside their homes or not have those caring for them potentially in those large situations as well. I would also encourage you to think about childcare arrangements for children. We do know that right now we're still at a 14-day window for this virus. So think about what your household would need in the event that you cannot go outside your home for 14 days. I'd also like to ask our business community to think about canceling non-essential meetings. Think about teleworking, Zoom meetings, conference calls, things that you can still operate and do your business. We are encouraging people to consider things like teleworking and just basically making it easier for your employees not to question, I kind of feel sick. Should I go to work? Should I not go to work? We want to remove that question from their minds as much as we can and just make it easy for people to decide, I'm unwell, I should stay home. We acknowledge there are some businesses that have essential services, and we're going to be mindful, obviously, of ensuring that they have all of the necessary protective equipment that they need. The CDC has identified essentially hot spots for the virus. There's a few states listed on the CDC website. We would strongly encourage you to not travel to those areas and to consider your necessary travel needs, truthfully, outside of the community as well. And one thing that I want to be very clear about, the drinking water is not at risk for being the drinking water is not at risk for being contaminated by the coronavirus. So the drinking water is not at risk for being contaminated by the coronavirus. I know there's been a lot of questions about that. And our water systems manager and his team are excellent at the job that they do. And there are many security measures in place all the time, not just during a pandemic, all the time, to ensure that the water system is safe and secured. The last thing I just want people to know and feel reassured by is we have prepared for this. Not even 3 weeks ago, the city of Watertown did a tabletop exercise for a different type of emergency where we met in an emergency operation command center, and we went through the process of what we would do in the event of a particular emergency. We will be activating our emergency operations center just to ensure that our leadership team has all the communications that they need. And we are just encouraging the public to be mindful of the virus, but to also be reassured by the fact that the city, our health system, Watertown Regional Medical Center, everyone has prepared and planned for things just like this to happen. If you have questions, the health department is a good place to go. We will be providing information on the City of Watertown Facebook page and the website as we can. The good news is it's supposed to be fairly mild this weekend and somewhat warm, not as warm as it has been, but going outside in open space and refraining from touching high contact areas is probably still okay. So hopefully you can get outside a little bit this weekend, and we will provide information to you about the virus as things progress. So have a good weekend, everybody. Stay healthy, and we'll see you back here next week.